Previously, Sasuke's deepest secret began to unfold. She wasn't the boy everyone thought she was. In Part 2, her hidden feelings for Naruto start slipping through the cracks. Chapter 12, Have We Met Before? Hinata rang the doorbell and in response, she heard a tired Sasuke telling her to come in. When she did, she was surprised to see Sasuke dressed in a white tank top and black boxer shorts curled up into a little ball on her black couch, looking absolutely exhausted. Sasuke. Sasuke turned and faced Hinata. Hinata was dressed in a white fitted t-shirt, sleeveless light blue hoodie, jean shorts, white thigh-high socks and light blue sneakers. "Hey," Sasuke managed to greet, despite the intense pain she was feeling in her abdomen. "Looks like the first day is really hard for you," Hinata commented. "The cramps are really bad." Hinata went over and knelt down in front of Sasuke. "Have you tried painkillers?" "Painkillers. They can help." "They sure do." Hinata then took a small bow from her knapsack and showed it to Sasuke, who was slowly starting to sit up on the couch. "This is Panadol Menstrual. It's a great painkiller for us girls when we have our periods. Want me to get ready some water for you so you can try?" "Okay, I guess." Hinata nodded and went to the kitchen. When she came back, she had a glass of water in hand. She passed it to Sasuke and sat down next to her. Sasuke followed Hinata's careful instructions and gulped down the water together with one of the pills. "Wow, it doesn't hurt as bad anymore." Hinata smiled and took something else from her bag. "And this is an electrical heating pad. It heats up really quickly and comes with 3 heat settings so that you can choose between low, medium or high heat. Use this in between the painkillers and your cramps will get better in no time." Once Hinata had finished her explanation, she helped Sasuke with her heating pad. Sasuke, now lying down on the couch again, let out a relieved sigh. "Ah, this feels good." Hinata smiled. "Just glad that you're feeling better, Sasuke. Thanks for coming here and helping me like this." "It's not a problem, Sasuke, really. Among all the others, I feel like I can really get along with you. I don't know why though. I kind of have that effect on people." Hey Hinata, have we met before when we were young?" "Sorry." Hinata asked, not hearing the question. "Have we ever met before?" Sasuke repeated. Hinata's eyes widened. Is she actually starting to remember? "Hinata?" Sasuke asked, concerned. "Why do you ask?" "It's just that, there's something so familiar about you. I don't know, comfortable. Safe. When I'm around you." Hinata wasn't sure what to say until she saw the clock. "Oh, I'm sorry, Sasuke. I need to go, Tsunade-sama wants me at her office soon." "Oh, sorry for keeping you." "It's okay, hope your cramps get better, Sasuke." "Thanks, bye Hinata." "Bye Sasuke." And with that, she left. Later in Tsunade's office. "You want me to what?" Hinata asked again in disbelief. "The council requests for the Jigoku Tenshi to train Sasuke in helping her on becoming stronger so she can beat Uchiha Itachi." "You cannot be serious." "I'm afraid I am." "Me? Teach Sasuke? Look, I know that you and the Uchiha brothers go way back and—" She couldn't finish because she had to duck when a kunai came flying at her and caught it between her 2 fingers just in time. "How the hell did you know that?" Hinata asked, her voice low and dangerous. "The elders told me about it," the blonde woman calmly answered. Hinata swore, but Tsunade was unfazed. "Sasuke, she really doesn't remember you." "Apparently she's somehow starting to remember. I'm guessing it's because I've been spending time with her." Tsunade smiled a small smile. "It's nice, isn't it? Being with her again." "Don't change the subject here. Why does my connection with them made the council choose me?" Hinata asked, her voice dripping with anger. The blonde-haired woman sighed. "Because you had Itachi as a sensei. You have experience when it comes to dealing with Sharingan. So does Kakashi," Hinata pointed out. "But you are both female and you can help her with adjusting to her new body when fighting. Also, you are the most powerful kunoichi we have here in Konoha. The council insists that you to be her trainer." "No, forget it. This isn't a request, this is an order." "I said no, you bloody old hag." Tsunade stood up from her chair, enraged. "Hinata. You will fucking do as I say. You can't make me, you old hag." Hinata screamed back. Suddenly, Tsunade smirked. "You know what? I get it." "What?" "Your feelings for those two. They'll get in the way, won't they? Sasuke, who you once called a great friend, and Itachi, who was your—" "Shut up. Don't you dare speak his name in front of me." "Was your fiancé." Tsunade finished. Hinata glared at her superior. Look here, the only reason why I refused to train Sasuke is because I want to kill Itachi. He had hurt me and I want to make sure he gets what he deserves. Tsunade was shocked to see so much revenge in Hinata's eyes. You really loved him. Hinata closed her eyes, her face scrunched in pain. Yes, I did. Immediately, Tsunade felt sorry for the girl. Hinata, I understand that you're hurt, but Sasuke was hurt 1,000 times more. Surely, she deserves the chance to kill the man who massacred her whole clan. Hinata sighed. If I still refuse, what will you do? The council is prepared to pay you a triple S rank salary if you do this. Hinata's eyes widened. A triple S rank salary? Yes. Why? Because they insist that you are the best to train Sasuke. Hinata sighed. Alright, fine. At least I'm earning pay. And a triple S rank salary does have a lot of zeros. Tsunade smiled and dismissed her, satisfied. Once Hinata was outside, silent tears flowed down her face, remembering Tsunade's words about how she suspected that her feelings for Sasuke and Itachi were still going strong. God, even thinking about that weasel was bringing back memories. Why did she have to say his name? The next day, Kakashi was taking Sasuke and Naruto to eat when someone was heard calling Naruto's name. Naruto. Naruto turned and his eyes widened. Sai. Kakashi frowned. Naruto, who is he? Naruto didn't answer because Sai was already in front of him and panting. Sai, what's wrong? Weasel, alcohol. Naruto's eyes widened, understanding immediately. Sorry Kakashi-sensei, Sasuke. I've got to go. Sasuke deadpanned, but Naruto. Sai, call out of one your animals. Sai nodded and took out a skull from his knapsack. He placed it on the ground and drew what seemed to be a bird with an ink brush. When he was finished, the bird left the paper and grew into life-size, surprising Sasuke and Kakashi greatly. Naruto, unfazed, jumped onto Bird's back with Sai. Let's go, Naruto ordered. The bird, understanding the command, flapped its wings and flew high into the sky. To Hinata's house. Sai directed it. The bird nodded and took off whilst Sasuke and Kakashi stood there, completely shocked by the whole ordeal. Outside of Hinata's house, Naruto was frustrated to see that Hinata had sealed all her windows shut. On the way to her house, Sai had told him that he had overheard the elders talking about Hinata's meeting with Tsunade the day before, and this morning, a convenience store downstairs had recently had his entire alcohol stock taken, but with money on the counter to pay for it. Naruto sighed. To unseal this, he was going to need a whole lot of chakra. Naruto took a deep breath and started performing the necessary hand signs. He slammed his hand on the window and shouted, Kai. The door swung open and the two boys jumped inside whilst the bird they had rode on turned back to ink. Sai noticed that Naruto stumbled a bit on the landing. You alright, Naruto? I'm fine. Hinata just had to use a seal that would have taken 3/4 of my chakra to unseal it, huh? But Sai didn't answer as his nose was busy wrinkling in distaste as he had noticed that the place was a total trash pit. Liquor bottles were everywhere and Hinata was sprawled on the floor with her hair in a mess and her breath reeking of alcohol right in front of them. Sai, get me some ice. We'll keep it on her head to cool her down. Sai nodded and hurried off whilst Naruto picked up Hinata and carried her to her bedroom. Once he laid her down on her bed, he stroked her face with his fingers and stopped when he realized that her cheeks were wet. She was crying too. I got the ice. Naruto nodded and took the ice pack from him and out it on Hinata's head. Immediately, Hinata winced. Her eyes fluttered open and in a flash, she jumped out of the bed and ran into the bathroom to puke her guts out. She vomited all over toilet, and couldn't stop. Tears flowed down her face from the acid in her throat. Shit, why the hell did I buy and drink all that alcohol for? Oh yeah, to screw my pained heart and try to forget the cruel shitty world that I live in. My life is so bloody fucked up. Flashback. Hinata promptly lay down on the floor, opened the whiskey bottle in her hand, brought the liquor to her mouth and took a large swig of it in one gulp. Her throat burned from the alcohol, but she sucked it up and wiped her mouth clean. Itachi, even after all these years, the memories of you and Sasuke still haunts me. I really do despise you Uchiha bastards. Hinata stated, before taking another swig from the bottle. End of flashback. The weasel, huh? Hinata turned and glared at Naruto who was watching her from the doorway. Shut it. You 13, remember. You shouldn't even be. Naruto was interrupted in mid-scolding by Hinata, who slammed the bathroom door loudly in his face and locking it. She's really gone off the deep end, huh? Sai asked as he stood next to him. Shut up, Sai. Sai sighed. Look, she can't keep doing this every time somebody mentions Itachi to her. You think I don't know that? I've tried, okay. But I can't. She's too bloody stubborn. And just how can she drink that much anyway? Sai asked, remembering all those bottles that was scattered over the floor in the living room. As a medic, her body has been trained to metabolize poisons quickly, Naruto explained. So she needs a lot to get buzzed, Sai realized, getting it. Naruto nodded. Why do you think that Tsunade drinks so much? Alcoholic, Sai answered instantly. Naruto's sweat dropped. Well, there is that. Okay, let me rephrase. Why do you think Tsunade can drink so much and still stay sober? Sai paused at that. Makes sense, Naruto heard him murmur. Naruto sighed. Could he ever help Hinata? Inside the bathroom, Hinata was having her own internal conflict. She leaned against the door, her eyes casted down at the floor. Her hands were tightly balled into fists, the skin spread tightly across her snow-white knuckles. Her bottom lip was harshly bitten between her teeth, so harshly that she swore she could taste blood. She was caught up in trying to keep everything in, so caught up in it that she barely noticed the feeling of something rolling down her cheek. When she saw a drop of water fall to the floor, she quickly raised her hand to her face, wiping it away. Hinata glanced over at the mirror, looking at her own reflection in it. Her eyes slightly red, small signs of tear tracks visible on her face, and her bottom lip looking abused after biting it so hard. Itachi, I seriously fucking you. I hope that with my teachings, Sasuke can successfully kill you and send you to hell where you can rot for breaking my heart, you son of a bitch weasel. Chapter 13, Hangover. Naruto sighed. It's been way too quiet since Sai left. Maybe she passed out from all the puking. Hey Hinata, you all right in there? In response, Hinata opened the door and greeted Naruto with a scowl. Do I look fine? No, you look just awful actually. You're enjoying this, aren't you, you bloody sadist? Maybe a bit Miss Temptress. Hinata glared at him in response. Last year, in December, Hinata had to get information out an owner of a strip club who just so happened to like young girls like her working for him, so Tsunade did the unthinkable. She actually forced Hinata to study under Anko Mitrashi, the most infamous seductress in all of Konoha. In the end though, she did do well under Anko and learned a lot from her, plus her mission was a success, so it was all good until Naruto and Sai started calling her Temptress. You should seriously take a bath, you stink Hinata. Fuck. Naruto's right eyebrow went up at Hinata's response. What? I'm supposed to meet my team for training later in the afternoon. Naruto rolled his eyes and shook his head. Hinata, Hinata, Hinata. Before Hinata could yell at him to shut up, she felt her legs buckle and fell backward. Luckily Naruto caught her before she made contact with the ground. My head hurts, Naruto, could you use that medical jutsu to help me? She asked, weakly. Naruto sighed, I can't. Why not? Because the damn seal you used on your window took up a lot of my chakra to unseal it. So you're going to have to wait, especially since you're too drunk to focus properly to use the jutsu. Hinata glared at him, but Naruto continued, so you're going to have to do the alternative to help you sober up. Hinata raised an eyebrow. What alternative? Peeing out the alcohol, of course. Fuck no. The water will not only flush the alcohol out of your system, it will also remove a lot of the dehydration from drinking. If you want to be sober by afternoon, we're going to start here. No way Naruto. I'll pee like crazy. Do you want to go to training with a hangover? Hinata groaned. He was right of course, but damn, did he just had to make it so hard for her. I don't care what you say, you are bloody sadist. Hinata yelled at him. Several cups of water later. Hinata was actually feeling surprisingly better. She could actually see straight now. Looks like you're better now, Sai commented. Go and take a bath first, Naruto ordered. No, do the jutsu now. Why? You're sober now, right? Or are you still so drunk that you actually need my help to help you undress? In response, Hinata kicked him in the shin and left the room to take her bath, and an amused smile to form on Sai's face. Dare laugh and I'll kick your ass, Sai. That kept his mouth shut. Minutes later, Hinata appeared out of the bathroom, dressed and refreshed. Alright, my chakra is finally restored completely, so I can do the jutsu now. Hinata nodded. closed her eyes and soon felt Naruto's hand on her head. A warm sensation filled her as his chakra began to flow into her. Slowly the pain behind her eyes began to ebb. Soon she felt the flow of Naruto's chakra stop and opened her eyes. There, I didn't have to do much. You were already mostly recovered because of the water since you weren't dehydrated. In response, Hinata punched Naruto, making him fall and his nose to bleed. The punch was for being the damn sadist that you are, she told him before leaving the room. Sai chuckled, Naruto, is it me or is your nose actually bleeding from Hinata's punch? Shut the F***ck up, Sai. As Kakashi walked Sasuke home, he noticed that Sasuke was looking even more emo than usual and that was saying something. Are you sad that Naruto isn't here? What? No, of course not. Kakashi smirked at Sasuke's flushed face, it's okay if you are though. I mean, Naruto is a fine young man. Before Sasuke could even respond to that, she noticed a familiar person walking out the alley nearby. Hey you. Sai turned and mentally groaned, what could she want? What? Where's Naruto? At home. What did you need him for? That's none of your business. Sasuke scowled and Sai remained neutral. So how do you even know Naruto? Kakashi asked out of curiosity. We're friends, now I'm in a hurry, can I go now? Kakashi nodded and Sai continued on his way with Sasuke glaring at his back. Are you mad that Naruto never mentioned Sai to you? Why should I? The idiot can friend whoever he wants. With that, Sasuke stomped off, but she did leave a very amused Kakashi chuckling at her actions. Teasing Sasuke was becoming a very fun hobby for him now. Chapter 14, Discharged. Hey Sasuke. Hey Kakashi-sensei. Sasuke and Kakashi turned to see Naruto running toward them. Dobi, Sasuke greeted. Naruto, Kakashi nodded to him before going back to reading his precious book. So Sasuke, ready to see Sakura? Naruto asked his teammate. It's been a whole month since she was admitted, commented Kakashi. Sasuke sighed, a whole month since I've turned into a girl. Naruto nodded. But is it really okay to bring me along for this, Naruto? I mean, Sakura insists that you come, Sasuke, she wants to talk to you. Sasuke frowned, about what? Naruto shrugged, don't know. Sasuke frowned even more at his answer, what could Sakura want? Naruto opened the door and found Sakura all dressed and ready to leave. Sakura was dressed in a red halter top that had her clan symbol on the front, a green mini skirt, red suede shoes that matched her top and a green headband that matched her skirt. Currently, she had her back facing him as she was busy packing up all the gifts she received during her time in the hospital. Naruto noticed that the halter top she was wearing had no back. Wow, Sakura has back. Very nice. In his mind, Naruto was grinning like a Cheshire cat at the nice view he was getting of Sakura's back. Sakura. Kakashi called, startling Naruto slightly. Sakura turned and saw her teammates and sensei. Damn, she turned. You guys came. Kakashi nodded, Sasuke too. Immediately, Sakura's eyes darted to Sasuke. She took the moment to study her. Sasuke was wearing a dark blue tank top and a black tux vest. To go along with it, she wore navy blue skinny jeans and black boots. Her long hair was let down and it flowed down her back like a waterfall. Sakura also noticed that she wore a pendant similar to the Uchiha symbol on a silver chain. Wow, Sasuke, you really are better looking as a girl than a guy, Sakura commented. Sasuke's sweat dropped, why does everyone keep saying that? Hey Sasuke. Sasuke looked up, yeah. Since you're a girl now and everything, do you think we can be friends? Sasuke was surprised, but then again, she was a girl now, so she didn't have any fangirls anymore. Unless of course, some of her fangirls were bisexual. The very idea made Sasuke want to hurl. Sasuke. Well, I guess it's okay. Really? I guess. Great. Sakura smiled brightly, making Naruto smile too. He was glad that his two teammates would learn to become friends now. On their way to Sakura's house, Naruto and Sakura were talking amongst themselves while Kakashi took the moment to gather his thoughts about his recently discharged pupil. Suddenly, a memory flashed back to him. Flashback. Kakashi was just about to open the door to visit Sakura when he heard her mother's from inside. You want me to train you on our clan's techniques? Yes. Why? I want to take my ninja training more seriously. Really? Sasayaki Haruno asked, the surprise evident in her voice. At first, the only reason I became a ninja was for the sake of the clan and to be closer to Sasuke, but now, thanks to Naruto, I have a reason. Naruto-kun. He was always so nice to me, and even though I always hit him, he always smiled. I want to be useful to him, he helped me through my trauma and I want to repay him. I want to become a ninja that would be useful to him. I see, from the sound of her voice, Kakashi could tell that she was smiling when she said that. Alright then, I'll train you. Oh thank you mother. Deciding not to ruin the family moment, Kakashi left, deciding to visit Sakura later. End of flashback. Naruto really does change people. Naruto. Sakura. Kakashi looked up to see Ino Yamanaka waving to them. Ino. Sakura greeted happily. Sakura. Ino greeted back with a smile, remembering the time when Sakura requested to see her. Flashback. I'm sorry. Ino frowned. Sorry for what? Sorry for breaking our friendship back at the academy over Sasuke. It was stupid. I'm sorry, you were a great friend and I broke out precious friendship over a guy. I'm really sorry. Ino was shocked to see that Sakura was crying now. Ino, could you ever forgive me? I could, but only if we become what we were before. Sakura's eyes widened. You still want to be friends. If you think you're ready for it. Why yes. Absolutely. 1,000 times yes. Sakura jumped out of her bed and hugged Ino, causing Ino smile softly. She had her friend back. End of flashback. Hey, where's Sasuke? Ino asked, noticing that Sasuke wasn't with them. Ba-chan called her and said that it was time for her checkup. Ino nodded. Well, I have to get going, my shift at the shop is about to start soon. Sakura smiled. Alright, bye Ino. Ino smiled back and ran off, waving goodbye as she left. With Sasuke. Tsunade smiled. Congratulations Sasuke, everything is fine. Okay, that's good then. Sasuke replied impassively. By the way, I have a surprise for you. Sasuke arched an eyebrow at that. A surprise. You can come in now Tenshi. At that moment, a beautiful woman entered the room. She was as tall as Kakashi and she had this long powder blue hair that ended at her waist. Her creamy white skin reminded Sasuke of swans or alabaster, flushing faintly pink over the cheekbones. Sasuke could have described her to be like an angel at that point, until she saw her eyes. When Sasuke saw her eyes, she felt a chill went up her spine when she saw them. Her blue eyes reminded Sasuke of ice, she felt like that those blue eyes could freeze a soul. The kunoichi in front of her was wearing single light blue colored, off-the-shoulders kimono that extended to halfway down her thighs, with a white sash tied around her waist. She wore a fishnet over her shoulders and fishnet gloves. The long-sleeved kimono was the same color as her eyes and showed off all her curves. Sasuke also noticed that she wore her forehead protector like a headband, similar to Sakura, and its cloth was black unlike Sasuke's where hers was a dark blue. On her feet, she wore knee-high black boots. Uchiha Sasuke. Her voice was soft but clear. Sasuke nodded, blushing slightly because she had been staring at her for quite some time. Tenshi smiled and held out her hand and Sasuke took it, shaking it. Sasuke realized how warm and soft her hands were. Tenshi let go and performed a hand seal. Meet me on the hospital once you're done. And with that she disappeared as many Sakura petals fluttered the room. Wow, Sasuke couldn't help but say. She will be your new trainer. Sasuke's eyes widened. Seriously. Tsunade nodded. She's a well-known assassin and our best kunoichi in the village. Her teachings would be useful to you. Also, make sure to call her sensei, you hear? She deserves respect. Sasuke nodded and that's when she remembered that her new sensei was waiting for her. After a quick bow to Tsunade, she ran out of the room to head for the rooftop. On the rooftop. Okay, let's start with introductions. Just say what you like, dislike, your dreams, and hobbies. That kind of stuff, Tenshi said. Sasuke nodded. And don't give me any vague stuff, I really want to know more about you alright. Sasuke frowned but complied anyway. My name is Sasuke Uchiha. My hobbies are training and taking walks. My favorite foods are omusubi with okaka and tomatoes and I hate natto and anything sweet. I dislike loud people and noises, I rather silence more than anything. And I hate dogs, I much prefer cats. Also, I don't really have a dream, it's more of an ambition, I want to kill a certain someone. Uchiha Itachi. Sasuke nodded. Alright, My turn. My hobbies include training, reading and teasing people. My favorite food is dango and I hate cold tea. I like my friends, anyone with a good sense of humor and learning new things. I hate perverts, traitors, anyone who dares to hurt my friends, people that think women are weak and girls that give Kunichi a bad name. My dream is to help you archive your ambition. Sasuke noticed a bitter expression on the older girl's face when she mentioned her dream. Did you know Itachi? I did, but he's a traitor now and that's all that matters. Sasuke nodded. Hey, how old are you? I'm 18. She's as old as Itachi. Maybe they were in the same genin team or something. Anyway, I'll see you tonight, Sasuke. And with that, she disappeared in a puff of smoke, leaving behind a very confused Sasuke. What did she mean, she'll see me tonight? Sasuke asked aloud. And that's when Sasuke remembered what was going to happen that night, the summer festival. Oh crap, I don't have a kimono. Sasuke groaned, realizing that she had to go buy one. Great, just great. Chapter 15, The Summer Festival. Tonight was the night. Tonight was the Konoha's summer festival. The summer air was hot, making it nearly impossible to enjoy the summer festival in a yukata. Naruto tugged on his dark orange yukata's cloth, to reveal more of his bare chest that had beads of sweat dripping down the path of tan skin to his stomach. He was waiting by the dango booths for Sakura and Sasuke, who was running 15 minutes late. Crap, I hate to wait. The heat was unbearable and he felt like he was being suffocated. It couldn't possibly get any hotter. Hello Naruto. Naruto turned to see Kakashi standing next to him. Even though it was a festival, Kakashi still wore his Junin uniform. Sensei, why don't you wear a yukata? Or a kimono? It's a festival. It's too hot to wear one, Naruto. Naruto frowned at the gray-haired Junin until he heard his name being called. Naruto. Naruto turned and his eyes widened. Whoa. Sakura and Sasuke looked amazing. Sakura wore a beautiful red kimono with pink cherry blossoms flowing across it. Her hair was tied up in a clean bun and a few shiny pink strands fell loose across her forehead. Her green eyes just shone with excitement. Sasuke had left her hair down. It practically shone in the moonlight. She was wearing a dark blue kimono which had a pattern of white flowers on the lower half and in a sort of pattern that it looked like the flowers were blowing away in the wind as she walked. Naruto, don't drool, Kakashi told him. Naruto ignored him and smiled. You girls look great. Sakura and Sasuke blushed and thanked him shyly. Shall we get going? Asked Kakashi. His students nodded and they set off. When they reached the festival, they could already hear the sound of music playing and the sound of everyone having a good time. There were a lot of people at the festival and they tried to look around to see if they could see any familiar faces around, but they couldn't see anyone among the mass crowd of people. They spent a few minutes walking around until they heard someone calling Naruto's name. Naruto. Team 7 turned to see the rest of the Konoha 12 at the dango booth. Naruto grinned and waved, guys. When they got closer, Naruto noticed 3 familiar people with them as well. Gaara, Kenkuro, Temari. Gaara's lips twitched into a smile, seeing his friend, Naruto. How have you been? And immediately, Naruto and the Sand siblings were conversing. Suddenly, a woman called out to them. Hey, Konoha Rookie 12. They all turned to see Tsunade and Shizune coming toward them, who were in their usual clothes. Ba-chan. Tsunade smiled. An orange yukata looks good on you, don't you agree, Ino? Asked the smirking blonde Hokage. Ino blushed. Yeah. Tenten and Temari smirked whilst Sakura and Sasuke frowned in displeasure. Sasuke especially. Earlier that night, Sasuke was out shopping for a kimono and happened to have met Sakura and her mother along the way. With their help, she managed to find the perfect kimono. And tonight, seeing Naruto smiling and wearing a yukata which bared his chest was so worth it. It's the Maiko dancers. Tenten cheered, snapping Sasuke back to reality. She and the others turned to see the large float down the strip of road. Sasuke was mesmerized by the sight of the painted women and their elegant movements to the beats of the drums. He almost felt himself pulled into a trance from their graceful movements, slowly seeing the story their bodies were telling. Naruto, who noticed this, smiled softly to himself as he was glad that Sasuke was taking some interest in what was going on. He thought she might get bored, knowing how she wasn't type of social events. He watched the dance with her as the float passed. Hello old hag. Tsunade heard someone addressing her and looked up. Akuma. Sasuke looked up as well, and almost immediately, she felt every drop of blood in her body migrated to her face. Wow! The man before her was wearing a very sleek kimono, which was golden in color and covered with deep, dark red flames. The clothes were elegant and loose, which promised a masculine body underneath. Sasuke took a deep intake of breath to compose herself and to take a closer look at him. He had sun-kissed skin, long crimson hair pulled into a ponytail at the nape of his neck, and black slitted crimson eyes that made Sasuke shiver slightly. His eyes somewhat reminded her of her new sensei. Her sensei's eyes could freeze a person's soul, but this person's eyes could burn a person's soul. His eyes were like flames of fire. And that's when Sasuke noticed that he was smirking in amusement and was looking at her. Like what you see, Uchiha. Sasuke's face flamed and looked away, and no. This only caused the red-haired man to smirk even wider. Oh really? But before he could get closer to her, a voice from behind stopped him. Don't tease my new student Akuma. Akuma sighed as his friend came to stand next to him and greet Sasuke. I told you we'll see one other tonight, didn't I, Sasuke? Sasuke's eyes widened when she recognized her. Tenchi-sensei. Tenchi was indeed a thing of beauty, no doubt about it. Her hair was tossed up, held together by two long golden hairpins that had light and dark blue ornaments dangling from their base, while a few of her smaller strands fell alongside her cheeks. She smiled up at her with her icy blue eyes of hers. Tenchi's kimono was light blue, matching her eyes. Dark blue embroidered dragons ran up and down the edges of it. Its claws and teeth were silver and his eyes gold. To Sasuke, the dragons almost seemed alive to her. Her kimono was short and ended at mid-thigh, allowing for anyone's eyes to linger at her creamy skin and well-toned legs. The kimono also revealed her shoulders, where it bared her flawless, noble-looking skin. On her feet, she wore golden high heels. Tenchi really was a stunning woman. Looking at both Akuma and Tenchi, they just looked amazing standing next to each other. Are you two dating? Asked Ino. Akuma groaned and jerked a thumb in Tenchi's direction. Oh god no, who wants to date this troublesome woman? Tenchi glared at him and Akuma ignored her in response. Anyway, it's nice to see that the two of you managed to make it, Akuma. Tenchi, Tsunade greeted. Akuma smiled and Sakura gasped, why you have fangs? Yup, why? You want me to bite you he asked, smiling at her seductively, causing Sakura to blush. Kitsune. Stop being such a bloody Casanova already. Akuma turned and poked his friend on the forehead, and you don't pout, Miss Jigoku. Tenchi stuck her tongue out at him and Akuma rolled his eyes. Are you a vampire or something? Tenten asked, curious about his fangs. Nah, I was born with them. Shizune shook her head, the handsome devil and the beautiful angel. God, just why can't you two just date already? Tenchi and Akuma rolled their eyes in unison. I'd rather die. At that, Naruto and Hinata turned to each other, sharing a secret smile. Akuma and Tenchi were just covers Naruto and Hinata used when they had to make public appearances. The two posing as their counterparts were blood clones which took practically 3/4 of their chakra. It was tiring to keep them, but they were the best to use in such situations. Tsunade had wanted Tenchi and Akuma to make a public appearance at the festival as she had wanted the both of them to perform. This summer festival was a special one as it was 25-year anniversary, which helped convince Naruto and Hinata to make the clones. Anyway, I want cotton candy. Come on, Akuma. And with that, she grabbed her friend's hand and dragged him to where the cotton candy stand was. Naruto grinned, she's got an idea. Let's have some fun, guys. Naruto's friends nodded. Time to some fun. Chapter 16, Performances. Ino approached Naruto, blushing furiously. Naruto. I was wondering whether you would be my escort. Before Naruto could respond, his pink-haired teammate stopped him. Wait, Naruto. I wanted. Forehead. Go away. I'm talking to Naruto. Yelled Ino, angry that Sakura had interrupted her. Sakura scowled, but before she could retort she heard a snort from her side. What are you laughing at, Sasuke? Ino asked, irritated. Just how stupid you both look fighting, she answered smugly. Sakura rolled her eyes, like you weren't going to ask him yourself. Sasuke's cheeks tinted red at that point. Whatever. Naruto's sweat dropped at the scene and turned when he heard a familiar snicker next to him. He turned to see that it was Sai, wearing a formal black yukata. What are you doing here? Naruto asked. I'm hurt Naruto, don't you want me here? It's just that. You. Sai looked at the finger-pointing Uchiha, what do you want big breasts? Immediately, time seemed to stop as the rookie 12 all turned to see what Sasuke's reaction would be. It was so silent, you could hear a pin drop. Asuma leaned over to Kakashi, a smirk playing in his lips. $10 she rips his head off. He muttered and Kakashi smirked sadistically under his mask, $10 she uses Chidori on him. Deal. They answered at the same time, turning again to see the show as they shook hands. I'll kill you. Naruto tried calming Sasuke down, Mama Sasuke. Don't get hasty. But Sasuke wasn't listening, Sai had hurt her pride and she was going to make him pay dearly for it. Her Sharingan eyes burned with intense fury as she glared at the black-clad man before her. Give me your best shot, Sai challenged. Letting out a startled cry, Naruto pulled Sasuke into a headlock, preventing the dark-haired girl from charging at him. Come on Sasuke. Cool it. Hinata sweat dropped, please Sasuke. Sai is just difficult. I'm so sorry about him. Sasuke frowned and turned to look at Hinata, how do you even know him? I met Sai-kun before when him and Naruto-kun were hanging out once. Sasuke sighed as she let her eyes go back to Obsidian Onyx much to the disappointment of Asuma and Kakashi. Fine. Naruto released her from his hold and beamed. Thanks Sasuke. Sai frowned, HN. Sasuke glared at him in response. Naruto then turned to look at Sai, suspicious, so did you come here just to piss off Sasuke or? Not just, I wanted to see whether you and Hinata were free, I wanted to spend some time together at the festival. Sure Sai-kun, said Hinata stepping forward. But Hinata, we were supposed to spend this festival with each other as teams. Whined Kiba. Sai deadpanned when he saw Hinata looking guilty and sighed. Fine, go off and have your little fun. Sai-kun, you could always join the festival with my team, Naruto offered. No, yelled Sasuke and Sakura in protest. Naruto's sweat dropped and Sai clicked his tongue. TCH, the girls just love Naruto, don't they? He said turning to Hinata. Hinata just giggled in response, making Sai smile a bit. Hinata looked pretty. She was dressed in a beautiful white kimono with lavender flowers embroidered in the hem and a matching colored underrobe while the obi contrasted it with its light purple obi. Her night dark tresses were twisted into an elegant bun with a lovely ivory comb with a spray of lavender flowers on the end. She had never been so beautiful. Sai. Yo Sai. Sai looked up, a scowl on his face, what? He was pissed that Naruto had pulled him out of his little dream world. Naruto however was frowning. He found it odd that Sai was looking at Hinata with such a soft look in his eyes. Could it be Hokage-sama? Suan turned to see a ninja bowing down to her. Yes, Akuma-sama and Tenshi-sama are ready to perform. Tsunade smiled. Perfect. Tenshi-sensei is going to perform. Sasuke asked. Shizune nodded. How about you lot come and watch? The two of them are fantastic performers. Sai smirked. Why not? The Konoha 12 agreed and followed the two women to a huge stage in the central square. Wow, Ino couldn't help but say when she saw how crowded the square was. There was huge stage built right before them. Tsunade went up to the stage and greeted the citizens. People of Konoha, we are gathered here today to celebrate 25 years of celebrating this summer festival. Tonight is truly special as we have our two infamous elite ninja, Akuma Kitsune and Jigoku Tenshi to perform for us tonight. Immediately, the crowd that had gathered cheered hearing the names of the performers. First up is Akuma Kitsune. The crowd looked in awe when the curtains opened and there was Akuma and next to him was a clone of himself. They were both wearing the same costume, a black and red mandarin vest and matching black pants. They were both barefoot as well and a scarf was tied around their waist. The drums started to roll and then it began. The fire moved between the two Akumas, never touching them as they threw torches into the air and back and forth. The flames reached out towards the crowd, daring them to come closer. The fire licked the bare skin of the Akumas, never burning them. They danced around blowing fire into the air, juggling burning torches, and doing tricks. The crowd was hypnotized. The little children smiled and clapped as their mothers and fathers held them, watching as the show came to an end. Everyone clapped and cheered as the two Akumas bowed, smiles plastered to their faces. The two clones waved to the ecstatic crowd as they left the stage. Now, Jigoku Tenshi. The curtain opened to reveal Tenchi there, wearing some sort of beaded costume that resembled a bathing suit. The bikini-style top had hundreds of short strands of beads along every edge, as did the small triangular shawl that she had tied around her waist. The costume matched perfectly with the powder blue color of her hair. The soft beat of the drum pounded in the audience's ears as Tenchi rose from her crouching position on the floor. Candles were placed on the floor around her feet to illuminate her body as she moved to the music playing in the background. Her ankle-length skirt swirled around her as she spun around, and then stopped abruptly, the beads at the bottom making a clicking sound. She slowly slid down into a split, her hands making circular motions in the air above her head. As soon as she was fully straddling the floor, she swung her back leg around and laid flat on her back, her skirt that was slit up to her thighs falling in between her legs. Tenchi arched her back upward, curling into a ball before snapping up quickly, her ponytail swinging at the sudden movement. Spinning around again, she jumped into the air, bending her legs at the knee and putting her arms into the air. Finally, she slid down to the floor onto her side and lay still as the music died down behind her. A hushed silence fell over the crowd as Tenchi stood up and bowed, then a thunderous applause followed suit as the curtains closed. And finally, the final dance of the night. The curtains opened again revealing Akuma and Tenchi, but this time, dressed differently. Akuma was wearing a red yukata that matched his eyes whilst Tenchi was wearing a traditional kimono, a deep shade of blue with rose blossom imprints on it which complemented her eyes too. Akuma took out a flute from his sleeve and began to play as Tenchi danced along to it. The sound it made was simply astounding. Akuma's fingers moved like liquid over the many individual air holes whilst Tenchi danced to the music as graceful as a ballerina herself. Tenchi's long velvet, powder blue hair was tied up elegantly, in a long ponytail with a silky piece of white ribbon, though a few locks of hair were left dangling around her pretty face. Her icy blue eyes seemed to sparkle under the light as she played with the fan skillfully in her delicate hands. She moved gracefully across the stage, without any rush movements. All eyes were glued to the beauty in the front with awe and admiration. The square was pitch silence as no one spoke. Each note Akuma played and each step Tenchi was doing looked like a performance done by angels themselves, singing and dancing in harmony. Their entire performance was simply breathtaking and hypnotizing. Finally, the performance came to an end and the audience erupted into cheers. Akuma and Kitsune bowed and the curtains closed. "Wow, they were amazing," Tamari said. The others nodded, entranced. "They were so cool," breathed Tenten. Sasuke felt like she couldn't breathe. "They were amazing, so fluid, so. And I'm going to be trained by Tenchi-sensei too." Suddenly, Sasuke felt someone grab her hand and pull her away from the others. Hey. The Rookie 12 all turned to see someone pulling Sasuke away from them and disappearing into the crowd. "Sasuke, what happened?" Ino asked. "Don't worry, she'll be fine," Sai assured her. "And how do you know that?" Neji asked. "Because Tenchi took her." Naruto frowned and turned to whisper to Hinata. "What is your clone doing?" "Nothing you need to worry about." Naruto shot him a skeptical look, but Hinata ignored it. "She better not cause trouble," Naruto warned. "Ears nothing to stress over, she'll be fine." "I hope so," thought Naruto. Chapter 17. How come you never? Tenchi-sensei. Sasuke asked, surprised when the person who grabbed her hand finally turned to show her face. "Hello Sasuke," she greeted as she let go of her hand and let her own fall back to her side. "How is the festival so far for you? Are you enjoying yourself?" Sasuke nodded. Tenchi smiled. "Well, that's good to hear." "Why?" Tenchi's eyes blinked at the question. "Excuse me. Why? Why do you care? Why?" Tenchi smiled even wider at Sasuke. "Because you're so cute. Sasuke gave her a WTF face, but Tenchi still smiled. "That's it." "Well, no, it's because you're my cute student." And with that, she wrapped her arms around Sasuke and hugged her. Immediately Sasuke felt like she was having difficulty breathing. "Oi Tenchi. You're going to kill her if you keep hugging her like that." Tenchi opened her eyes to see that Sasuke's face was blue and was opening and closing her mouth several times to speak. "Oh sorry." Immediately, Tenchi dropped Sasuke, making her fall on her butt. Sasuke cursed under her breath and was about to make herself get up but stopped when she heard a voice. "Here." Sasuke looked up to see an evenly tanned reaching for hers. She looked up to see that it was Akuma. She stared at him, making Akuma become impatient, so he grabbed her hand and pulled her to her feet. You alright? Tenchi asked, worried. I'm fine, Sasuke replied as she dusted off her kimono. Sasuke. Oi Sasuke. Where are you? Sasuke's eyes widened before looking around frantically, looking for the source of that loud voice. It's Naruto. Looks like your friend is calling you. Akuma said. Sasuke nodded, right, but I have something to ask sensei first before I leave. Tenchi blinked, something to ask. Yeah, when do I start my training with you? Every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. 7 p.m. sharp. We start next week. Sasuke nodded before turning to leave. Well, goodbye then. Oi, Uchiha. Sasuke turned to look at Akuma. What? Make sure to turn up on time or Tenchi will give you her Spartan training. Immediately when her partner said that, Tenchi pinched his cheek, hard. What did you say, huh? Sasuke couldn't help it. She smirked at the two before continuing to leave. However, Tenchi and Akuma didn't notice as they were too busy arguing. Sasuke, where have you been? Naruto demanded, much like a stern father when his daughter arrives home late in the night. Tenchi-sensei just wanted to talk, that's all. Tenchi. Sakura asked. You mean that blue-eyed woman from earlier? Sasuke nodded. You called her sensei. Sasuke looked up at Kakashi with an raised eyebrow. Yeah, so. But you never called me sensei. He whined, completely out of character. Sasuke's sweat dropped. I only do because the Hokage told me to. That's all it took. Sasuke nodded, making Kakashi anime fall and her teammates to sweat drop. By the way, where are the others? Asked Sasuke. They all left to go have fun in their teams. Sakura answered. Sasuke nodded and Naruto grinned. And now that Sasuke's here, let's go have our fun. He excitedly said as he wrapped an arm around her. Sasuke immediately blushed whilst Sakura pouted but joined in as well by grabbing onto Naruto's free arm. Then let's go then. You lied to her. Tenchi whirled around to look at her partner. What? You were actually worried because the last time Sasuke went on a festival was when she was with her family. Tenchi said nothing and turned away, but Akuma continued. You wanted to make sure she was okay, that's why you called her outright. Gritting her teeth, she stormed off but yelled to Akuma one last thing, just shut up Akuma. Akuma smirked at her retreating back. Right on the mark. She really does still care for Sasuke. Chapter 18, Training with Tenchi. A week after the festival, Sasuke reported to Team 7's training ground early to wait for her new sensei to arrive, but instead to her surprise, Tenchi was already there, waiting for her. Good morning Sasuke. Morning, she greeted back, noticing that she was dressed in the same outfit she had first met her in. Okay Sasuke, first I need to ask you, have you tried any training on your own since your checkup? Sasuke nodded, yes, I've got Kakashi to spar with me. He told me that even though my limbs are shorter, my speed and agility had increased, making it harder to land hits. If he didn't have the Sharingan, he doubted he could keep up with me. Tenchi nodded, noting that Sasuke had spoke with a tinge of pride in her face. She must like the benefits of having a female body than a male one. But what? Tenchi asked, noticing Sasuke's frustrated expression. He said I'm not as strong as back then when I land hits though. Tenchi laughed, is that all? No problem. We'll get you into shape in no time. But for now, first thing I want you to do is to punch a tree. There was a moment of silence. Excuse me? Sasuke finally asked. You heard me. Sasuke frowned but complied. She went over to one of the trees in the area and punched. She screamed in extreme pain when she felt her hand hurt and drew back immediately. Out of all trees, you choose the biggest and toughest one to punch. Nice pick. Sasuke turned to glare at her, but Tenchi ignored it and went over to pick up Sasuke's bruised hand to examine it. Sasuke was surprised when she saw her bruised hand glow green and felt the pain ebbing away. What did you do? Medical ninjutsu. I'll teach you once we're done with your physical training. Physical training? I don't need any. Why should I? You can't even beat a tree and you still say that you don't need any. Tenchi retorted. Sasuke frowned, irritated. Tenchi dropped Sasuke's hand and took out some cloths and bandages from her pocket. Tie these around your fingers and palm like a bandage. Sasuke followed her instructions word for word but didn't understand the reason behind these actions. Noting Sasuke's frustration, Tenchi explained. For today, I'll give you some simple exercises that will test your physical body and tire you out but won't hurt you much. First, I'll expect you to improve the power of your punches. I want you to continuously punch this tree, indicating the big tree behind Sasuke, until you leave a dent at least half an inch thick into the tree. The cloths are to protect your knuckles and fingers from bruising too much. Sasuke frowned. Why can't I punch this tree? She asked, pointing to the one that had given her an injured hand. Tenchi smirked at her and slammed her open palm onto the tree. The sudden impact sent slight shockwaves into the ground and plenty of leaves started falling from the said tree. When Tenchi finally removed her hand, a finely detailed handprint was revealed on the surface of the tree. It had a dent 1 inch deep from the surrounding bark. Sasuke underwent pure shock at her sensei's show of power. There was absolutely no chakra involved in that slam. See now why I want you to practice. Sasuke nodded, still dumbfounded by her slam. When you're done with the tree, you are to run 100 laps around Konoha, 2,000 push-ups, 5,000 sit-ups, and 2,000 tree sit-ups. Sasuke's jaw dropped in shock. That many? Tenchi nodded. Now get to it, especially if you want to finish before night time. Sasuke sighed, but went off to start her nightmare workout. Tenchi watched the entire time, making sure she wasn't hurt or injured during so. When Sasuke finally finished, she let herself fall backward onto the grass to rest her aching limbs and muscles. I've never been pushed this hard before. She closed her eyes to let her exhaustion take over and immediately slipped into unconsciousness. Tenchi walked over and picked up the sleeping girl. Time to take her home. Sasuke awoke to find that she was in her bed in her own bedroom, but her clothes changed. She was now dressed in a black camisole and shorts. My clothes. She turned and noticed a note on her dressing table. She picked it up and began to read. Sasuke. Good job today. I've changed your clothes for you because they stank of sweat and your ones from earlier are in the laundry. Make sure to get plenty of rest. I'll see you the day after tomorrow, same time and same place. Jigoku Tenshi. Sasuke frowned at how she had described her clothes to smell but put down the note back on the table. She fell back against her pillow and burrowed underneath the blankets, reveling in the cool, comforting sheets. She soon fell asleep, surrendering to the call of her bed. The next day, Naruto decided to visit Sasuke and ask her on how her training went. Hinata had already told him, but Naruto still wanted to check on his teammate. The door was unlocked, so he let himself in. He found her in her bedroom, sleeping, but she was sweating a lot and she looked to be having a nightmare. Ka-san. Must be a nightmare of the night of the massacre. I have to wake her up, Naruto thought, closing his eyes. Sorry. He slapped her, hard. Peeking out of one eye, he saw Sasuke's eyes open. She gingerly touched her cheek that was beginning to turn red, and winced. Bastard, you would actually hit a girl in her sleep. She growled. You were having a bad nightmare, Naruto told her. Sasuke's eyes widened slightly. Why, you saw? Not much. Before Sasuke could respond, she sneezed loudly into Naruto's shirt, covering Naruto with a mixture of saliva and mucus. Needless to say, Naruto was not amused but kept his cool. He then noticed that the normally snow-white skin face of Sasuke's was paler than usual and shining with a thin layer of sweat. Her eyes seemed abnormally bright too. A quick check of her temperature and a few minutes of listening to her cough and sniffle confirmed his suspicions. Sasuke had caught a cold. You're sick. Like I haven't figured that out, Dobi. Sasuke started to cough violently and Naruto watched in silence. He wondered vaguely what it was like to be sick. The Kyuubi had always made his immune system incredibly strong, so the most he ever got was a cough for a day or so, or a runny nose. Nothing serious. Where's your bathroom? Naruto asked. Why? Sasuke's widened when she realized that she sounded like a dying frog when she just spoke, but it did make Naruto laugh. Naruto, you bastard, don't laugh. It's just a tad case of laryngitis. You'll be fine in a few days. Naruto finally said, besides I think it's cute. In his mind, Naruto smirked when Sasuke blushed a pretty red. I idiot. Don't jokes with me. Sasuke screamed out, making her voice sound sadly like Minnie Mouse. She immediately covered her mouth. Damn it. Naruto smirked and took a mental note to make Sasuke blush more often. His smirk immediately disappeared when he saw that Sasuke's eyes were fluttering. Hey Sasuke. Don't. He went over and caught Sasuke from falling, who was deadly close to hitting her head on her bedpost. Sasuke, however, seemed to have no intention of waking up anytime soon. Instead, she subconsciously snuggled deeper into her source of warmth, Naruto's arm. Naruto fought to fight down a blush. Well damn. Chapter 19, Fire Lessons. Sasuke awoke to find herself dressed differently from before. Instead of the black camisole and shorts Tenchi had changed her into, she was now wearing a white camisole and shorts. Who changed my clothes? Suddenly, Sasuke heard a sound from outside, so she quickly got out of bed to take a look. When she got to the door, she opened it slowly to get a peek of what was happening outside. From her view, she saw Naruto's naked back facing her. Immediately, her face flamed. Why isn't he wearing a shirt? That's when she remembered that she had sneezed on his shirt and felt her face redden even more with her embarrassment. Once her face had cooled down, Sasuke turned back to look at Naruto again and realized that something was on his back. A tattoo. Curious, she took a step forward to get a closer look, but unlucky for her, the wooden board she stepped on was creaky and alerted Naruto. Quickly, he turned to see Sasuke peeking out. Sasuke, you're awake. Ashamed, Sasuke fully opened the door to show herself and noticed that someone else was with Naruto. Hinata. Hinata smiled. Hello Sasuke. How are you feeling? Better thanks. I called Hinata here to help nurse you, Naruto explained. Sasuke nodded. But why were my clothes changed? Oh, that's because you were sweating a lot, so I wiped you down and changed you. I see. Thanks. No problem. There was a moment of silence for a minute until Sasuke's stomach began to growl. Embarrassed, Sasuke blushed slightly, causing Naruto and Hinata to chuckle. Hinata smiled reassuringly at Sasuke. Don't worry Sasuke, I cooked some food for you already. I'll just heat it up, okay? Sasuke nodded and thanked her before making her way to the dinner table to wait and take the seat next to Naruto, but as Sasuke sat down, Naruto stood up from his seat. Well, I'm going to go grab my shirt from the dryer and head home. Sasuke frowned, unhappy, but Naruto saw this, so on his way, he ruffled her hair. Don't worry Sasuke, I'll visit you again tomorrow. Sasuke scowled at the blonde boy as she fixed her hair. Naruto just grinned and waved goodbye to Hinata as he left. Sasuke on the other hand was deep in thought. I thought I saw a tattoo on his back earlier, was I wrong? Was it my imagination? Here you go Sasuke. Hinata set down the plates of food and cutlery on the table, leaving Sasuke to arrange it herself. Thanks again Hinata. It's really no problem Sasuke. I'm just thankful. Hinata smiled and Sasuke smiled a little smile of her own back at her. I should get going. Alright, see you. See you Sasuke. Get well soon. And with that, she left. As Hinata made her way home, she felt a familiar presence nearby. Get down from the tree Sai. Sai did so, landing in front of the ex-Hyuga, pouting slightly. You're no fun Hina. Hinata rolled her eyes. So what is it? Sai took out a scroll from his pocket and tossed it to her. Jobs. There was a sparkle in Hinata's eyes as she excitedly opened the scroll, but it immediately vanished when she finished reading it. Why so few? Sai shrugged. Anyway, you'd better hop to it. Quite a few has a deadline. Hinata sighed and nodded. Alright, thanks I guess. No problem. In a swirl of leaves, Sai was gone and Hinata continued her way home to make preparations. The next day, Sasuke felt fine, so she went to the training ground for her training with Tenchi. She was already there, waiting. Hey, how are you feeling? Better. Thanks for taking me home. No sweat, however, are you sure you want to continue with the physical training? You just recovered. I'm fine really. Tenchi frowned, still worried. Alright, but I'm toning it down this time. So today, you have to run 50 laps around Konoha, 1000 push-ups, 2500 sit-ups, and 1000 tree sit-ups. Sasuke frowned. That's half of yesterday's. I'm not going to risk your health Sasuke, now get moving. Sasuke sighed but did as she was told and began. Some time later, Kakashi came to the ground, surprising Tenchi. Hitaki-san. To what do I owe the pleasure? I need to speak to Sasuke. About what? Well, I was thinking of asking Sasuke of whether or not she'll still be interested in those fire ninjutsu lessons I promised her before. Well, she's still in the middle of her laps. I'll ask when she's done and get her to get back to you. Alright, thank you Tenchi-san. You're welcome. With that, Kakashi turned and went back, leaving Tenchi to ponder. So Kakashi is planning to teach her fire ninjutsu. Well, it is her affinity. I guess it's no harm, but that type of ninjutsu requires a lot of chakra, so I'd better get her some soldier pills. If not, knowing her, she'll tire herself out. Once Sasuke had finished her workout, she once again let herself fall backward onto the grass to rest her aching limbs and muscles. You alright? Sasuke looked up to see Tenchi's angelic face looking down at her. I'm fine, she reassured her as she sat up. Tenchi then took a seat on the grass next to Sasuke. Hitaki-san came earlier. Kakashi. What for? He wanted me to ask you whether you're still interested in his fire ninjutsu lessons. Sasuke mentally slapped herself for forgetting. Yes, I am. I see. Then you're going to need these. A small bag was dropped on Sasuke's lap. Curious, Sasuke peeked open the bag to see that it was full of pills. What are these? She asked as she took one to examine it closer. Soldier pills. Specifically, military rations pills. These are special pills that replenish one's chakra and nourish the body. It's made up of powerful stimulants and nutrients, said to allow the user to keep fighting for 3 days and 3 nights without rest. Wow, but don't take too many at one go. It'll be bad for your body. Only in emergencies, when you're really out of energy and chakra. I see. Are there any other pills? Yes, there is the blood increasing pill. It's a pill used by ninja to speed up the formation and increase of blood in the body. After having lost a significant amount of blood in battle, a ninja can use this pill to replenish the blood, so they can keep on fighting. That's really useful, commented Sasuke. Aren't they? Smiled Tenchi. So you're giving me these to help with my training, right? Sasuke asked, indicating to the bag Tenchi had just given her. Yup. Train hard, okay. Sasuke nodded. I will. Satisfied, Tenchi got up and tossed another item to Sasuke. Here, these are the bandages you need for your punching exercise. Get to it. Hi sensei. Chapter 20, Brain Work. Tenchi was very proud of Sasuke. Sasuke was a fast learner and a hard worker. In an all-out physical battle, Sasuke would have been a good opponent against either Tenchi or Akuma, if they got serious. Nonetheless, Tenchi was very happy to see that Sasuke had matured a great deal since he had been transformed. If Sasuke was still a boy, he would have been too stubborn and arrogant to listen to whatever pointers Tenchi would have to offer. But now, he was a girl and Sasuke had humbled a bit. She paid heed to her instructions carefully and asks her for her opinion on how to improve. Tenchi could tell Sasuke respected her a great deal and she herself felt she had grown to like Sasuke as well. Seeing Sasuke panting heavily, Tenchi called her student to stop and approach her. Quickly, Sasuke ran over. Yes sensei. Tenchi bent down to Sasuke's height and ruffled her hair. Congratulations. I think it's about time I bump you up to next level. At that Sasuke smirked, she was finally advancing. Tenchi straightened her back and grinned. Next, we're going to work on you mentally. Sasuke stared her in response, trying to comprehend what she meant. Work on me, mentally? She asked, puzzled. Yes, I'm going to teach you medical jutsu like I promised you on the first lesson. Sasuke groaned, but I want to learn ninjutsu from you. Tenchi was surprised. Why? Isn't Hitaki-san teaching you all the fire techniques he knows? Well, yes. Then, what's the problem? But I want to learn from you too. I hear you're really powerful. Tenchi sighed. Sasuke, in terms of ninjutsu, Kakashi is the best to teach you as he not only has the Sharingan, he is also a fire jutsu specialist, which just so happens to be your affinity, so I think your ninjutsu training is pretty much covered. Sasuke sighed in defeat, giving up the argument. Alright, fine. But why medical ninjutsu? How about say weapons? Tenchi was losing patience, so she took a deep breath before speaking again. In order to use weapons, you need to be intelligent in terms of strategy, which medical jutsu can help you with. It's not all about diving in recklessly to kill the other guy. Sasuke frowned. How does weapons have anything to do with strategy? That, I will teach you after your medical ninjutsu training. It's important you learn medical jutsu anyway. All female nins are required to learn it. Sasuke mumbled something under her breath that Tenchi could not catch. Irritated, Tenchi threw a scroll at Sasuke, hoping it would hit her student. But unfortunately, Sasuke's fast reflexes saved her. What is this? A storage scroll. Inside is a book on everything you need to know about medical just you by Swain-sama. Study the first chapter. I'll be going through it next week. From now on, we meet at the Academy's lecture hall. Understood? Yes. Good, then I'm off. In a blink of an eye, Tenchi performed several hand signs and dispersed into several Sakura petals, leaving Sasuke alone. Once the Sakura petals had flown away, Sasuke had realized something. How does she even open a storage scroll? Naruto was making his way home when he saw Sasuke walking ahead of him. Hey Sasuke. Sasuke turned around and saw Naruto running toward her, grinning and waving to her excitedly. Dobi, she greeted him once he reached her. Is that a storage scroll? Naruto asked when he saw the scroll in her hand. Sasuke blinked, surprised that he knew, and you know this how? Hey, I'm not stupid, countered Naruto. Sasuke smirked, amused, no offense, but I seriously beg to differ. Naruto stuck his chin up, trying to look smug. Well, pervy sage had been teaching me seals. That's why I know. Does that mean you know how to open this? Sasuke asked, holding out the scroll. Sure do. Excited to show off, Naruto grabbed the scroll from her and opened it on the floor. Inside was a seal. Quickly, Naruto performed the seals as Sasuke watched on, her Sharingan activated. Finally, to finish it off, Naruto slammed his hand on the seal and opened it. With it, a large puff of smoke came about, and on top of the scroll, there laid a large book that read, Guide to Become Medical Ninjutsu Specialist by Tsunade Senju. Hey, this book was written by Obaa-chan. Sasuke's eyes practically bugged out at the size and thickness of the book. She couldn't help but think it would take forever to finish her medical ninjutsu training. So you finally started, huh? Naruto asked, breaking Sasuke's train of thought. What do you mean finally? Well, all the other girls already started. Hinata-chan was taught by her mum when she was younger, so she's undergoing special training by Shizune-chan. Sakura-chan, Ino-chan and Ten-Ten-chan started a few months ago. Ba-chan found a lot of potential in Sakura-chan cause she was a fast learner, so Ba-chan took her in as a disciple just recently. Sasuke's jaw dropped. Sakura is Tsunade's disciple. It made sense, she had to admit. Sakura and Tsunade were a lot alike. They both had short tempers, incredible strength, and both had incredibly high IQ. Now that she thought about it, Naruto was being taught by a Sannin too. If Sasuke had succeeded in reaching Orochimaru, that would mean the whole of Team 7 was trained by the Sannin team. Maybe even become the next Sannin. Sasuke. Sasuke blinked her eyes and looked at Naruto. What? You're spacing out. Anyway, here's your scroll back. Sasuke was surprised. You sealed it back already. It's easy, just do the seals on how to open it backwards. Oh, okay. Thanks, she said, taking back the scroll. No prob. I gotta go, I haven't watered my plants today. See you, Sasuke. With that, Naruto sped off, leaving Sasuke in his dust. Guess the Dobi had matured too. Chapter 21. Ino is so dead. Now, what kind of top should I wear? Midriff maybe. Ino resisted the urge to sigh. She really didn't want to do this. She wanted to work in the shop today because today was Naruto's work day too. Sakura had begged her yesterday for Ino's fashion advice and Ino just couldn't say no. Sakura's pleading look was irresistible. Ino, I'm asking for your opinion here. Ino closed her eyes and replied, backless. Sakura looked at her in confusion. Huh. Honestly speaking, you have a nice back. Back. I have a nice back. Yeah, you've got good posture and your back looks smooth enough to touch. Overall, you should wear a backless top to show off that asset. Hey, maybe if you show off your back more you might just get the guy's attention of your flat chest and onto your back. Sakura's face fumed red. Ino. Ino smirked, she couldn't help it. That comment in her mind just had to be said. Sakura wanted to take the nearest object next to her and throw it at her friend until a thought came to her. Would Naruto like to see her in a backless top? The thought made her blush as she imagined Naruto gaping at her if she wore such a thing. What about bottoms? Ino blinked her eyes in confusion. She was sure Sakura was going to grab something and try to throw it at her in anger, but answered her question anyway. Definitely not shorts. Sakura frowned. Why? I've been wearing them for. You don't have the legs to pull it off, Sakura. Trust me on this. What's wrong with my legs? You would look like a slut anyway, wearing a backless top and shorts. That shut Sakura up. She could imagine it, people calling her whore if she wore such a combo. Okay, so what should I wear instead? 3/4 pants definitely, Ino told her, with utmost certainty in her voice. Any gear? Sakura asked. Let's find you that top and pants first. The next day, Naruto had just entered the usual training spot for Team 7 when he heard his name called. Naruto. Naruto turned to find his pink-haired teammate running over to him. He waited until she caught her breath before speaking to her. Hey Sakura-chan, what's up? He asked. Sakura grinned and gave Naruto a little twirl. What do you think of my new look? Naruto looked her up and down, taking in Sakura's new look. From her twirl, Naruto saw that Sakura wore a backless top, similar to the one she wore the last time at the hospital, but the shade of red was different from her usual. It was darker, making it easier for her to camouflage if she were to hide. Her pants were 3/4 long and dark green. She still wore her ninja headband the same in the regulation shinobi sandals and kunai pouch on the thigh, but this time she wore gloves on her hands that matched. All in all, she looked good. When he told her so, Sakura was elated. Thanks, but it looks like you changed too. For the better too. Naruto grinned. Naruto wore a black sleeveless top with green army 3/4 camouflage pants that had a lot of pockets, perfect for storing extra weapons. He still wore his ninja headband the same and still wore the regulation sandals and kunai pouch on the thigh. Sakura had to say, Naruto was looking really handsome. Until she saw his hands. Naruto, why are you still wearing orange? Naruto was wearing neon orange wristbands. Naruto laughed, I can't totally give up orange, Sakura-chan. Besides, Kakashi-sensei is just happy enough with the top and pants not being orange anyway. Sakura groaned. She hated the fact that Naruto loved orange. It looked good on him, she admitted, but did he seriously have to use that for ninja wear? He could be killed if he got spotted. Sakura-chan, Naruto asked, worried when she stopped talking. Nothing, except, Naruto probed. Sakura blushed and in a nervous fashion, she began twirling a strand of her pink hair with her finger. I was wondering. Yes, would you gonna date with him? His pink-haired teammate asked in a rush. What? Naruto asked. She's speaking gibberish. Ignore her. Sakura turned to see Sasuke. A calm look expressed over her features, but Sakura could see the annoyed look in Sasuke's eyes. Could Sasuke maybe? Hey kids. The genin turned to see Kakashi walking over to them. What's up? Nothing, answered the girls. So Naruto, what time do I have to release you so you can get ready for your date with Ino? Naruto's face flamed red and his teammates turned to gape at the blonde in shock. Date with WHO. Naruto couldn't look at them, so he looked down at the ground. Ino-chan asked me out last week, today's our date. Inner Sakura was on a rampage, that backstabbing bitch. Sasuke's Sharingan eyes activated, they looked ready for a fight. Kakashi's sweat dropped at the fuming girls. Now ladies, Ino did ask Naruto first, so all right goes to her. I'll kill her, the two girls said in sync, causing Naruto to sweat. You guys aren't really gonna. Too late, the girls rushed off, leaving the two males in the dust. Crap, they cursed in their minds before running after them. Chapter 22, Catfight. Ino was walking back to her family's flower shop after completing a delivery but stopped short when two familiar girls came into view, running toward her. Once they had stopped, just inches before her, Ino frowned immediately when she saw the angry look Sakura and Sasuke were giving her. What's up with you two? Don't what's up us, yelled an angry Sakura. How could you, Ino? How could I what? Asked Ino, clearly confused by Sakura's words. How could you ask Naruto out on a date when you knew I liked him? Sasuke nodded her head in agreement before intensifying her glare at Ino, causing the blown girl to roll her eyes. Seriously? That's what you guys are so hot and bothered about? Oh Kami. It's only a date. Besides, it's not my fault you guys don't have the guts to ask him out. Sakura fumed, I do too have guts. I was just asking him earlier. Sasuke snorted, you were speaking too fast for him to even understand you in the first place, Sakura. Quote. Sakura felt her face redden, but this time due to embarrassment instead of anger. Well, I was just about to speak clearly until you came. Sure, was Sasuke's disbelieving reply. Ino shook her head, well, since you guys are busy bickering. I'm going now. Ino turned to walk away, but Sasuke had stepped forward and placed a firm hand on Ino's shoulder. Not so fast. Ino turned, raising an eyebrow at the pale-skinned teen. Does this mean, Sasuke, that you admit to liking Naruto? Quote. Sasuke felt her cheeks grow warm but nonetheless answered the question in a small voice. It was only because Ino was so close that she could even hear her. Yes. My. This makes some good blackmail material for me to use, a familiar voice spoke up. The girls turned to the right, only to see Sai there, smirking with his back against a giant oak tree. Sasuke was the first to catch on, her face then showing a look of horror when she realized what the consequences would be. Sai raised his hand, silencing her. Let's just go. Sasuke deadpanned immediately. Go. Go where? Sai just smiled his creepiest smile at her, not answering her question. Sasuke, who just got even more annoyed, was about to yell at the infuriating teen when all of a sudden, a hawk, made out ink out of nowhere, swooped down, used its claws to grab Sasuke by the shoulders and proceeded to fly away with her. Sai called after the startled teen, I'll explain things later. Be a good girl and don't wreck anything. My hawk is taking you to my house. Sasuke swore loudly in return, but Sai paid no heed to her, and after a polite goodbye wave, Sai got on his way, leaving the two ninja girls alone on the sidewalk. What just happened? Quote. Sakura shrugged before lunging at Ino to get her payback. Is it true? Tsunade looked up from her paperwork to look at the young man who was sitting on her window ledge. He had onyx black eyes, black hair with bangs that framed his face, and a low-tied ponytail. He also had long, pronounced tear troughs under his eyes like his deceased father, Fugaku. I see you're not wearing your Sharingan, Itachi. Itachi gritted his teeth in frustration. That's got nothing to do with my question, Tsunade, and you know it. Besides, you know why. So your vision really is deteriorating? Asked Tsunade. Unfortunately, sighed the double agent. You should stop, Itachi. We can't have you going blind. Itachi didn't answer her, but instead he repeated the question he asked earlier. So is it true? Has. Suan took a deep breath, interrupting Itachi. Yes, Sasuke has really turned into a girl, Itachi. She is no longer your younger brother, Itachi. She's your baby sister now. Itachi was quiet for a moment, processing the information until finally saying something. So you have no idea who did it? Tsunade shook her head. Not a clue. It's been months already and the investigation has to stop. I need the ninjas for other missions. Itachi nodded his head in understanding, and Sasuke has handled it well. Not at first, but she's gotten a trainer now. So she's helped Sasuke adjust then. Yes, Hinata has been a good friend to Sasuke. Almost immediately, Itachi froze. Hinata. Tsunade nodded. Apparently, Sasuke is beginning to regain her memory as well. Itachi ran a hand down his troubled face but said nothing. The reason why Hinata is training Sasuke in the first place in order to kill you. Tsunade then shot Itachi a calculating stare to see his reaction, but all she got was a bittersweet smile. Good, that was the intention all along. Before Tsunade could respond, Itachi performed several hand signs and then disappeared in a whirlwind of crow feathers. It was raining, thus making it harder for teacher and student to run, but finally, Naruto and Kakashi had managed to reach Sakura and Ino. However, they stopped short at the sight before them. Their eyes widened and their jaws dropped. Naruto was sure he was going to get a nosebleed now. What the hell are they doing? Naruto and Kakashi all stared at the sight before them with shock and horror, but for Naruto, sheer arousal. There, in the mud, was Ino and Sakura, who was wrestling, with their clothes torn and hair in tangles while calling each other names. God forbid. Even though Sakura's top was absent, leaving her chest bare, Sakura didn't care. I'm going to rip all your fucking hair out and stuff it in your asshole, you bitch. Ino scowled at her friend as she screeched at her friend at the insult unknown to the fact that her clothes was clinging to her like second skin as she wrestled with Sakura in defense. It showed the curves and developments no one has ever seen. Naruto had to swallow at the sight of Ino's despite still in the developing stage, large breasts being smashed up against Sakura's back as she jumps on the commoner girl's back. Kakashi shook his head at Naruto. He was finding two teenage girls arousing. And one of the two's chests was as flat as a wooden board. Has Naruto learning nothing from himself and Jiraiya's teachings? Suddenly, he heard a loud shrill scream. Kakashi looked up to see Sakura on top of a very red-faced Ino, holding up Ino's torn top in the air like a trophy in victory whilst the embarrassed Kunichi below her had wrapped her arms around her chest protectively. Luckily, she was wearing a bra. A very sexy push-up bra, Naruto might add. Then, lightning was heard. Chapter 23, tied up, followed by a punch to the face. "What the hell do you want with me, you creep?" Sasuke asked, glaring at Sai. Sai just smirked, enjoying the sight before him. Sasuke was bound by rope, tied to his armchair. He didn't want her running away now, did he? "Let's make a deal." Sasuke rose an eyebrow at that. "What sort of deal?" "I won't tell Naruto that you have feelings for him as long as you do one thing for me. Which is, keep Naruto as far away from Hinata as much as possible." "But why?" "So that I may be free to court her." Sakura looked up when the lightning was heard. Ino saw the lightning strike at the branch above them and screamed. Sakura's eyes widened, seeing the tree branch falling. There was no way she was going to get out of the way now. "Damn, you want to date Hinata? Seriously?" Sasuke asked, completely disbelieving what she just heard. "Yes," Sai replied with a firm nod. "Huh, didn't figure you as the dating type," Sasuke admitted. "Neither did I you." Sasuke glared at him, but Sai just responded with a bored expression on his face. "So, deal. How am I supposed to keep Naruto away?" "By dating him, of course," Sai replied, rather matter-of-factly. "But he and Ino. Naruto doesn't think of her like that." "No need to fret your pretty little head over it, it's just one date." Sasuke groaned, "And he thinks of me in that way?" "I doubt it. Maybe for now, but he will." "And how do you know?" "Because I know. Naruto. You saved me," squealed the Pinkett. Naruto just smiled. He helped Sakura back on her feet and Kakashi did the same with Ino. The two shinobi had reacted fast when they saw the branch about to fall on the girls, so they had ran forward, picked up the girls' bridal style and saved them. It was then when Sakura heard a chuckle from Kakashi, making her turn to see her sensei patting a red-faced Ino on the head who was wearing his shirt. Here, Sakura turned back to Naruto only to see him holding out his top to her as well. It was then, Sakura finally remembered that she was topless. The Pinkett gave a loud shriek before snatching the top and quickly putting it on. Naruto resisted the urge to chuckle at his teammates' actions. However, his attention on Sakura was short-lived when he felt a familiar hand on his arm. "Yeah, Ino. Could you take me home?" Sakura was about to protest but stopped when everything became black. "Why not just tell Naruto you like Hinata? He won't believe me." "Why?" "Because I told those two that I was gay." A heavy silence followed. "Sensei!" yelled Naruto. "What?" "I didn't want another bitch fight." Naruto facepalmed. Kakashi had knocked out Sakura, leaving her lying down on the cold pavement, unconscious. He was snapped back to reality when he felt Ino tapping his shoulder. "So Naruto, can you? Why can't Kakashi-sensei?" Naruto asked. "Her dad isn't very fond of me," Kakashi answered for her. Naruto resisted the urge to groan. Why wasn't he surprised? "All right," Naruto sighed, defeated. Ino beamed, and just like that, the rain stopped. Finally, Sasuke broke the uncomfortable silence. "Why?" "Because at the time, I believed I was. I always knew I was different, and at that time, I found males appealing to me, so." "Okay. Stop. I get it," Sasuke yelled. She really didn't want to hear any more. "So you're going to help me?" Sasuke sighed. "It's not like I have a choice, so fine. I'll do what I can." Sai smirked in victory and took out a knife from his pocket. "Good. And don't worry, I'll help you win that guy's heart." Sai went over to cut the ropes binding Sasuke. Sasuke stood up and wiped off the imaginary dust from her clothes. "Thanks, Sasuke," the girl heard the black-clad guy murmur. Sasuke turned and saw the sincere look in his eyes. He really likes Hinata. Sai saw Sasuke's lips twitch as if she was going to smirk or something, but what he got instead was a hard punch to the face. "That's for kidnapping me, but you're welcome anyway." Sasuke saw herself out, leaving Sai alone on the floor, groaning in pain. Sai removed his hands from his nose, only to find that his hands had blood on them. "Tch, looks like she got Hinata's strength now." Sasayaki was not happy. A shirtless Kakashi had come on her doorstep carrying her unconscious daughter. He told her that Sakura had got into a bitch fight with Ino, upset that Ino had asked out Naruto before she could. Which was absolutely ridiculous to begin with. After bathing her daughter and setting her down on the bed to sleep, Sasuke lay on the couch and rubbed her temples in attempt to calm the growing migraine. She thought back to the shirtless Kakashi. He was broad-chested and well-muscled with a very well-defined torso. Rin sure was one lucky woman. But what really arrested her eyes were the scars. Kakashi was covered in them. Everything from tiny scratches and small scrapes to huge, jagged gashes. But all of those wounds paled in comparison to the huge burn mark located in the center of his chest. It must have been some fire jutsu. Even her own husband, Ren, didn't have wounds like that. A few battle wounds here and there, but still a nice torso, not as good as Kakashi but still a sight to behold. Ren, if only you were here to chase the boys away from our beloved Sakura. Then maybe, she wouldn't have become like this. Ino awoke to find herself in her pajamas, at home, in bed. She saw a folded letter on her nightstand, so she took it and began to read. Chapter 24, Out of Nowhere. Ino had to leave soon, but the picnic date she was having with Naruto was heavenly. Naruto was great fun to talk to, debate with, not to mention laugh with. She was really enjoying this. Ino, you have to get going, don't you? Don't you have medical jutsu class with Ba-chan? Ino sighed, she was hoping he would forget. Yeah. Naruto grinned, you wished it never had to end, huh? Ino smiled, yeah, I really had a great time today, Naruto. Naruto nodded, me too, Ino. He began to clear up, but Ino stopped him. Ino, something wrong. Ino took a deep breath. Naruto, did you say yes to this date because you like me or because you couldn't say no? Naruto's eyes softened. Ino, I do like you, but not like how I like you, right? Naruto nodded his head, guiltily, I'm sorry, Ino. Ino shrugged, at least, my first date was a great one. So really, I have to thank you, Naruto. Naruto looked at her, seeing her obviously sad expression. Ino, do you like anyone? Huh? Is there someone you like? Ino asked. No. So you don't like Sakura? No, I'm over her already, and Tamari. She has a boyfriend. Tenten. She's got Neji. What about Sasuke? Are you nuts? Why would I like Sasuke? Well, your first kiss was with. That was accidental. That does not count. Anyway, Sasuke was a guy. I think it would take a long while for her to start liking guys unless she was gay the whole time. That statement made them look at each other before erupting into laughter. Oh my god. Ha ha ha. Naruto. What? Ha ha ha. It's very possible. Ha ha ha. It totally explains why she hated girls before. Soon enough, they calmed down. Ino wiped a tear from her eye. Man, that was good. Ha ha. Naruto grinned, he was glad he got that smile from her. He hated seeing her sad. Hey Naruto, does that mean I'm free to like you? Naruto blinked, what do you mean? I mean, is it okay for me to fall for you and make you feel the same? Naruto was speechless. Ino, I'm not that great. You are. Ino took Naruto's hand in hers and looked at him with sincerity in her eyes as she spoke. You're kind, funny, sweet, caring, the list is endless. Naruto, you're practically perfect. But I'm not. You are, in my eyes. She told him. Naruto couldn't believe what he was hearing. In front of him was someone who loved him, but then it came to him, would she still love him if she knew his secrets? Look Ino, He was cut off with Ino cupping his face and pressing her lips to his. She tasted sweet, oh so sweet. Damn, Naruto wondered if he should kiss her back, but he didn't like her in that way. It would have been wrong to do so. The gentleman in him told him to stand down. But the animal part of him told him to fuck it and just kiss her back. The girl had soft, full lips. Ino pulled away then before Naruto could decide. You didn't feel anything. I don't know what to say, Naruto said, honestly. At his answer, Ino smirked. Wow, I made the great Naruto speechless. I should get an award. Naruto grinned at her, distress forgotten, and laughed. Hinata. Hinata turned to see Sasuke running toward her. Yes. Is something the matter, Sasuke? I wanted to know. Yes. Just how close are you and Naruto? Hinata blinked in confusion before finally smiling. Naruto and I have known each other since we were 3. Sasuke's eyes widened. I used to really like Naruto, but soon enough, I saw how infatuated he was with Sakura-san, so I let it go, and now we're no longer awkward around each other. I realized that I'm happy with the friendship I have, Naruto. Sasuke frowned. If that was the case, why did Sai ask me to keep Hinata away from Naruto as much as possible if they were just friends? Sasuke. Why did you ask? Then, out of nowhere, a flashback came to Sasuke. Flashback. Sasuke was on the swing and Itachi was pushing him. In the flashback, Sasuke looked to be 5 whilst his brother looked to be 10. Sasuke-kun. Itachi-kun. The two Uchiha boys turned to see a small pale girl running toward them, her midnight blue hair flying in the breeze. She was dressed in a pale lavender kimono that matched her Hyuga eyes nicely. So you have finished studying? Asked Itachi. Hinata nodded her head excitedly. In that case, Sasuke let Hina-chan have a turn. Sasuke pouted, but I wanna swing some more. This is Hina-chan's house and you're playing on her swing, so let the girl have a turn. Sasuke frowned but get off, and when he did, he was met with a peck on the cheek. Thank you Sasu-chan. Sasuke blushed whilst Hinata got up on the swing. Come on Ida-kun. Itachi chuckled at her eagerness and began to pull the swing backward. End of flashback. Sasuke. Sasuke blinked, pulled back to reality. Hinata's worried face stared back at him. Are you alright? I'm fine. Are you sure? Yeah, look, I need to go, sorry. With that, she rushed off, leaving Hinata alone, bewildered. What the heck just happened? The next day, Team 7 was called to the Hokage's office. Team 7, this is a C-ranked mission. You are required to escort Prince Akira and Princess Akiko home. Failure to bring them back safely is not tolerated. His father is counting on you. The genin and Kakashi nodded. The doors behind them opened and the said nobles entered. They had long, fiery red hair. Akira's hair was tied in a low ponytail whilst his sister wore her hair down. They were dressed in identical red and yellow kimonos. When they saw Naruto, their eyes widened. Naruto put a finger to his lips to tell them not to reveal him and keep quiet. They gave him a slight nod in return, but Sasuke had noticed this exchange. Kakashi didn't and began to talk to the twins, telling them Team 7 would ensure their safety whilst Sakura drooled over their obviously expensive kimonos. What was Naruto hiding? How does he even know these foreign royalty? Sasuke was determined to find the answers to her questions. Previously, Sasuke's deepest secret began to unfold. She wasn't the boy everyone thought she was. In part 2, her hidden feelings for Naruto start slipping through the cracks.